the norm. In Nigeria, that delay can stretch over for several years, even decades. Our courts are fatigued, endless adjournments, and procedural bottlenecks, which frustrates even the most patient of litigants. Over 5,000 cases are still pending in the Supreme Court. Some have dated back over 15 years. Imagine a poor widow seeking compensation for a land taken away from her. Her case was dragged for 10 to 15 years, outliving her, if not her hope. 70% of Nigerian inmates in prison are still awaiting trial. Some have spent more time in detention than the maximum sentence for the alleged crime. When the path to justice becomes longer than the road to death, we cannot say that this system is working for the people. Furthermore, judicial independence is a mirage. The Nigerian judiciary, in theory, is independent, but in practice is subjected to political influence, executive interference, and elite manipulation. We have witnessed governors refusing to obey court orders, electoral tribunals where the judge's verdict seems more politically convenient than legally sound, judges sacked overnight, salaries delayed, courtrooms padlocked, all as tools of intimidation and control. When judges fear the politicians more than they fear the Constitution, they are no longer defenders of justice. They are now accomplices of oppression. On this point, I will now introduce conciliation. Conciliation is like mediation, but more active. It is governed by the Arbitration and Conciliation Act and the Arbitration and Mediation Act in 2023, making it legally recognized. The sole aim of the conciliator I strongly support the motion. This House believes that the Nigerian judicial system has failed to be the hope of the common man. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, for that wonderful speech. We call up on the first speaker from the opposition side to begin the case for opposition.
If the Nigerian judiciary has failed, then why is it still standing between tyranny and democracy? Why is it still jailing corrupt leaders, overturning stolen mandates, and freeing innocent men who are no other hope? I am known as Ms. Nebife Chisom Alexandra from CHERRYFIELD College, the chief speaker of the opposition. I am not just here to oppose the motion, but to obliterate the flimsy fantasy the opposition dares to call an argument. I am joined here today with my co-debaters and friends, my chief supporting speaker, Ms. Owuche Chizoba, and my second supporting speaker, Master Ayowa Michael. Today, we are here to oppose the motion that says this House believes that the Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the hope for the common man. We are not here just to oppose the motion, but to expose it as a lazy generalization, intellectually dishonest, and deeply disrespectful to the many Nigerians who have found justice through these courts. Before I proceed, let me give honor to whom honor is due. My respected proposition, revered Senator and Secretary, my marvelous and exclusive crowd, my co-debaters and friends, parents in the house, good day. opposition to what the proposition had previously defined as their so-called key terms, I will now define the battlefield, because unlike the proposition, we don't build castles in the air. What is the Nigerian judiciary? The Nigerian judiciary is an arm of government empowered to interpret the law, protect rights, and enforce justice. Who is the common man, you may ask? The common man is the ordinary Nigerian citizen, the Okada rider, the market woman, the hawkers, people who have no political privilege or power but rely on the system for their protection. And now, moving on to the most important word of this debate, failed. Failed means to be regarded completely ineffective and useless, not struggling, not reforming, but to be irreparably broken. And the proposition dares to call our Nigerian judiciary failed. That brings me to my first argument, the landmark rulings. Did you know that in 2019 in Zamfara State, the Supreme Court voided all APC candidate wins, stating flawed primaries? If that is a system that has failed, how is he able to do so? Are you aware that in Imo State, Justice Mary ordered that all vote counts must reflect actual polling units and not inflated figures? Our democracy. You cannot have a system of democracy without your judiciary. When elected officials are almost unlawfully impeached, like Ladoja's case in Oyo, who was there to help him? When Honorable Obasa was unlawfully impeached, he didn't go home thinking there was no hope. He went to the courts and he got justice. Why didn't the court give justice to the state who could have paid more, but they gave Honorable Obasa justice? If this is a system that has failed, who now helped Honorable Obasa? Who now helped Ladoja? Was it a ghost or was it a spirit? But we, the opposition, know that it was our judiciary. The proposition would like to argue. The proposition would like to argue that it's the higher bidder who wins a court case. I don't believe that. They may like to argue that Nigerians don't have money to access the courts. I would like to ask you a proposition. Have you heard of legal aid? It's like they haven't heard of legal aid. Did you know that since 1976, the legal aid has helped 350,000 Nigerians who couldn't afford legal services? If that is a system that has failed, I don't know what you would call failure. The proposition, and I quote, says, hope becomes a myth. If hope becomes a myth, why do they still go to courts? For the proposition to sit here and say the judiciary has failed is to simply say that justice does not exist in Nigeria, and that is simply not true. We do not deny the cracks of the judiciary, but a building that has cracks does not mean it has collapsed. It just informs the builder to use stronger materials. Meaning, the same way our judiciary is flawed, is the same way it can learn to improve. The proposition sits here today comfortably calling our judiciary a myth, something I believe in and my teammates believe in, a myth, that hope is a myth. Hope is not a myth but a belief. So proposition, I would like to tell you, if you are looking for failure, look in the mirror of your position, because under the weight of its own exaggeration, it falls apart. Thank you.
Thank you first speaker for that wonderful speech. We come up on the second speaker from the proposition side. Yeah.
Okay, before I begin, I would like to point out a flaw that the first speaker had made. Despite the good being done in the country, it still doesn't change the fact that over 88% of Nigerians, mind you, in the whole of Nigeria, still believe that corruption is very common in the judiciary. As the second supporting speaker, I am here to support the motion that this House believes that the Nigerian judiciary system has failed to be the hope of the common man. I will reinforce the points that my first speaker had made and further expose how the Nigerian judiciary system has not only lost its credibility, but has now become a symbol of corruption, inequality, and delay. Let's examine the hard truths. Firstly, rampant corruption has eroded justice. As my co-debater Beatrice had mentioned, the Nigerian judiciary system is full of and invested with corruption, as we've heard of several cases where judges have been caught taking bribes in order to twist verdicts and turn the favor to the rich and the powerful as well. And to make matters even worse, according to the International Bar Association, it is said that the corruption in this country is so bad that they are even causing a widespread loss of faith in the legal system. They are willing to take matters into their own hands, the common man. So you saying that the good being done in the system is very justifiable, are you also saying that you're willing to justify the corruption being done in the system as well? Because that is so far what you've been interpreting as well. The common man cannot expect justice in a system where the courtroom is just an auction house for the highest bidder. Let me give a real life scenario. According to the Nation newspaper, in 2005, two justices of the Court of Appeal, Justices Okwechukwu Opene and David Adedoyin Adeniji, were actually caught accepting bribes amounting to 15 million naira and 12 million naira respectively. But what did the National Judicial Council do? Well, the National Judicial Council, or the NJC for short, actually just recommended their dismissal and executed this dismissal by the president under section 292 of the Constitution. So far the system that you're actually protecting actually used the Constitution to ensure that two criminals get away with over 27 million naira. This 27 million naira would have been used to fund education, feed the poor, and also fund jobs as well, but yet they got away with it. This system that you're actually protecting just got away with 27 million naira. Secondly, the Nigerian judiciary system has eroded trust. According to a 2022 survey, it is said that 71% of Nigerians have lost trust in the judiciary system, viewing it as unequal and unfair. And the numbers do not lie. And these are people that have not even been to court before, majority of them. So are you saying that the numbers are lying? So far, the good being done doesn't change the fact that these 71% view the system as unequal, impractical, and very unethical as well. And you might be saying that, okay, these people have never been to court before. Well, in an NOI poll survey, 63% of respondents who had contact with the judiciary described it as very negative due to the fact of the high corruption rates, high bribery rates, and very, very biased judgments when actually examining court cases. Now, in the World Bank, they have a scale which is called the Ease of Doing Business Index. This Ease of Doing Business Index actually determines how easy it is to do business in particular countries. And guess where Nigeria ranks in this system? Very, very low. Why is that? Due to how difficult it is to actually enforce contracts, very difficult it is to actually ensure that business is being done smoothly. Additionally, the Nigerian judiciary system has hindered economic growth. You said something, the first speaker, and she said something about the fact that the Nigerian judiciary system had actually helped 350,000 people. Mind you, this was way back in the past. A lot has changed between now and 1998. A lot of things actually, including the fact that 63%, as I mentioned before, who actually had contact with the judiciary view it as very, very negative. Foreign investors come to countries to actually ensure business is being done correctly. They come here to resolve disputes and to enforce contracts. In Nigeria, the judiciary's inefficiency and corruption has actually deterred such investment, to the point where it's so bad that citizens are willing to resort to self-help. Now this self-help, if not properly administered, it might lead to social vigilantism and social unrest as well. According to another survey, a Chatham House report, and it actually stated that 71% of Nigerians believe that judges are likely to take bribes. This is due to all the history of all they've done. Now mind you, the federal government actually owes the World Bank a lot and a lot of money. Why is that? Partly because of the partial judgments made by the Nigerian judiciary system. Additionally, it is also said, as I mentioned before, that Nigeria ranks very low in the ease of doing business index. Do you know that this slow justice system has caused an estimated annual loss of 100 billion naira? 100 billion naira. That money will be able to do a lot for Nigeria, but yet they lost it simply because of corruption, high bribery rates, and also very biased and partial judgments as well. Hold on. Finally, poor infrastructure tampers with effective justice delivery. Not only is the Nigerian judiciary system very corrupt, but they also do not have very, very proper infrastructure to carry out legal court cases. Many courtrooms, especially in rural areas, have either been destroyed or abandoned. This example, it was said in 2021 a company was supposed to be sued for counterfeit products. Now, they took this case to the court, and guess how long it took them before the court could adjourn the case? It didn't take them 5 years, it didn't take them 3 weeks, it didn't even take them 2 years, it took them 21 years to adjourn the case. What makes this matter even so infuriating is the fact that by the time that the court had adjourned the case, the company's original and counterfeit product had completely vanished from existence. Is this the system you're saying is actually helping the country? Is this the system that you're saying is changing millions of lives? Is this the system that you're saying is changing millions of lives? Is this the system that you're also saying is helping the country? We all know that this is not so, which is why I came up with alternatives that the common man can adopt. One of which is actually the most effective man can adopt. One of which is actually the most effective to me. Is the invitation or the use of a third-party member who is called the mediator to facilitate dialogue, to use dialogue in order to resolve disputes and to ensure that disputing parties reach a voluntary agreement. Now, unlike the judges or arbitrators in the judiciary system, the mediator doesn't actually impose decisions, but rather gives suggestions on what the disputing parties can do in order to resolve conflicts. According to Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse, or LMDC for short, it's actually said that mediation should be practiced very commonly in Nigeria, resolve relationship as well. Let me end my debate by quoting a very famous quote from Nelson Mandela. A country isn't judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but rather how it treats its lowest citizens. These are all the reasons why I believe that the judiciary has failed to be the hope of the common man. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, first speaker for that case. The second speaker from the opposition. Yeah.
How dare you come to this stage in front of this intelligent crowd and blatantly utter that the Nigerian judiciary has failed? When the house is on fire, please wait. When the house is on fire, you do not let that house burn. Let me tell you what you do. You call the firefighters. So as when injustice strikes Nigeria, the first and final call goes out to the Nigerian judiciary. My opposition here, they call it failure. Whereas we, the opposition, stand here and we call it the only institution brave enough to stand between the oppressor and the oppressed. So I ask you, my beautiful audience, if not the Nigerian judiciary, then who? Honorable panel of judges, distinguished guests, my respected proposition, my fellow co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, listeners and viewers at home, good day. I I who stand before you is none other than Miss Ouche Chisoba Deborah from the peak of CHERRYFIELD College, JIKWOYI, Abuja. I stand here today not just to stand on the words of my first speaker, but to completely obliterate whatever the proposition has to say to let this motion stand. And now, I'll begin by saying, the Nigerian judiciary, let me just let you know, it is not a word to be associated in the same sentence as failure. Because when you call its name, you call its name with power. It is the Nigerian judiciary, call its name with respect, please. It is not only the last hope for the common man, but it's the last bastion of justice in Nigeria. You dare to call it a failure, that means you didn't do your research. Now, my honorable adjudicators, allow me to go into exactly why they are wrong and we are right. The proposition here argues that the judiciary is too corrupt. Yes, it is. I will not lie. It is corrupt. There is corruption all over the world, my audience, especially in Nigeria. It's nothing new. Let me tell you, we've seen it before. But what we haven't seen is that the judiciary is the only institution that actively cleans itself and rids itself from its corrupt members. Did you know? They fire corrupt members. If you did your research, you would know that. Let me just tell you now, the Nigerian judiciary is far more bigger than what you are leaving it to actually live for us and saying. The Nigerian judiciary is strong. It's not something to be placed in front of a crowd and be debated. The proposition here argues that, okay, the judiciary is a bit slow though. Yes, it is. But let me tell you something you don't know. Justice delayed is not justice denied. 99 days for the thief, they say, 1 day for the owner. You can steal over and over again, but let me tell you, the day that they catch you, you will regret that day ever happened. But let me also include that they are actually fixing themselves, because if you did your research ever since COVID, things like e-filing, yes, you can bring a case to the judiciary through the internet, did you know? With time-bound judgments, did you know? The proposition here argues that people can't have access to the courts. They said something, but because it happened in the past, it does not mean it is irrelevant. Why don't you stand up and tell that to the 350,000 people the Legal Aid Council helped? Why don't you get up, walk all the way to the local market woman who won her land back and tell that to her face that it is a failure? My dear proposition, please do not confuse systematic poverty with judicial collapse. That's not how it goes. The proposition here, they actually argue that the judiciary upholds fraudulent court cases. Okay, quick question to everybody. Why did APC lose Zamfara? Why did Bayelsa State Governor-elect get disqualified? Have you done your research? I ask once again. Because when you bring a petition without evidence, it is not the court that has failed, it is your case. The proposition again, they actually want to argue that the executive controls the courts. This is a very serious thing. Then why, tell me, do court rulings and proceedings continuously embarrass sitting presidents? Why do they do that? Why do they fear the courts? Why do they try to control the courts? And overall, why do they avoid the courts if they actually control it? You need to reason before you come. And let me tell you now, the second proposition speaker actually just left this podium and has managed to try and attempt to convince you all that what they're saying is right. But let me tell you, they're doing this just so they will win. I'm doing this because I believe. That is why I'm standing here today, to let you all know that the judiciary is not a failure and it should not be associated with such. Before I lay my points, let me tell you why. I, for one, I am an aspiring lawyer. And in the crowd here, I can pinpoint a few lawyers. We have distinguished guests who work for the judiciary and with the judiciary. They're telling me the profession I choose is a failed one. You're telling me the profession that they work for is a failed one. Nonetheless, did you know that the judiciary is a holy institution, for crying out loud? It is is a sacrilegious institution. Did you know before you speak in the courts, you will be first asked to swear on the Bible or the Quran? And you're telling me that God's law is a failed one? Truly, proposition, do you believe that? Let's not be ludicrous. Let's not be preposterous. Ridiculous. And now, I can't just come here and just backfire everything they came to this stage to say. I have to give my own points. Courts have protected protesters and activists. Let me use that to counter what you said. Martin Luther King said injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I just used that against you, if you just noticed that. High courts have restored traditional justice. In 2023, the court reinstated Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, the emir of Kano, after his unlawful removal. You dare to say that it is a failure? The judiciary has enforced labor rights and reinstated workers who were unjustly sacked. That is not failure, that is maturity. Did you know that thousands of cases have been solved yearly, fairly, yet the proposition wants to come and call it a failure? Let me tell you something to round up everything I have just said. Now, the proposition wants perfection in a country that hasn't even perfected democracy. Let me tell you that when the common man falls, the only arm that outstretches itself to pick him up is the arm of the judiciary. And you want to bring it down? Break down the only institution that's helping us, please. Let's be sensible. And now let me end this by saying the next speaker of the proposition is going to come up here and talk. And he's going to try and convince you all. But I hope with everything I've said, you already know where you stand. Don't let the lies fool you. I have removed the wolf from the sheep's clothing, please. Understand that I'm not standing here because this is the side I was given. I'm standing because I support it. And I can stand on whatever word you throw against us. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, for that case. We call up on the first speaker for the talk. Yeah.
Good day, everyone. What the second speaker of my opposition has said, and the noise that she has been making, that's not maturity. Maturity is using the resources to properly help those around you. When we speak of the hope of the common man, we speak of protection, we speak of fairness, and we speak of justice, regardless of your wealth, your power, your resources, or your status. But in today's Nigeria, this hope has been betrayed. In theory, the judiciary in Nigeria is said to be the last resort for the common man, but in practice, it is nothing more than a playground for those in power and those who are rich, while those who are poor suffer and rot in silence. How can we still say that we can have hope in the judiciary system when thousands of Nigerians who are common are still in prison without even having a day of trial? Government officials openly disobey court orders and cases take decades before they are reviewed while the oppressed die. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not justice. This is nothing more than a system that prioritizes the rich, frustrates the poor, and kills the very idea of justice. Good day, Mr. Chairman, accurate timekeeper, honorable panel of judges, my beautiful audience, and my viewers at home. My name is Derek Taffa. I'm a proud student of BRITARCH Secondary Schools, Abuja. Remember both the name and remember the school because we are going to win. I stand before you today to firmly support the motion that this House believes that the Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the hope of the common man. I would prove to you that Nigerian judiciary is no longer a refuge for the common man. I urge you all to open your minds and open your hearts as I expose how deep the cracks in this system goes. Firstly, Nigerian judiciary is slow and inaccessible. Opposed to what the second speaker said, justice delayed is justice denied. This is a serious disadvantage which shows us that it is no longer a source of hope for the common man. Let's be real and honest today. In Nigeria, for the common man, there is little or no hope that they will have a free and timely justice. Court cases take decades before they are reviewed. Hearings are endlessly adjourned. Files go missing and judges go on vacation or they are transferred. By the time justice finally comes, the damage has already been done. Let me give you an example. In the year 2007, there was a man named Innocent Ifeanyi. He was arrested and was wrongly accused for armed robbery, which he did not commit. For 10 years he waited. Keep that in mind. 10 whole years he waited. No lawyer, no judgment, and no court hearing. Just silence. Silent for 10 years. Can you even imagine the pain that this man must have gone through? Anyway, In the year 2017, after the pressure of human rights groups, not the judiciary themselves, after the pressure of these human rights groups, judiciary finally said, okay, let's finally let these people have what they want, and reviewed the case. You won't believe it. Mr. Innocent was actually innocent. Who would have thought? Just imagine the nights that he must have gone through, crying to himself, the trauma that he must have experienced, the way that his life must have been just destroyed. And you're telling me that he should still have hope in the judiciary system? How? He must have asked himself, why me? Why must I be in a country that does not grant me the right that I thought I had? And he's not alone in this. As of today, in Nigerian correctional facilities, over 70% of the people there are still awaiting their trial. They are common people too. Bus drivers, market traders, and students just like me who do not have enough money to pay for bail or legal aid. They are forgotten in the system. Why? How can you still tell these same people to have trust or to have hope or to have faith in a system that completely shuts them out? How? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. The judiciary are nothing more than oppressors who wear a fancy gown and a wig and call themselves justice. What?
Excuse me, you made a mistake. You don't pay for legal aid.
Yes, you do. Do you know what legal aid is? I advise you to go and check on your research. Thank you. I'm done with your POI. Secondly, another way that the Nigerian judiciary has failed the common man is through its language and complexities. As of today, the common man will enter the courtroom and they're afraid and they're confused because justice has become taught in a different tongue. Not English, but in legal jargon that is so complex that the average man cannot understand. Can you imagine? They will enter the courtroom, they're confused and they're afraid. They hear words like injunction, interlocutory motion, and habeas corpus, which I'm sure not even my opposition know what these words mean. They are confused, they are afraid. Nobody explains what's going on. Nobody translates these procedures to them for them to better understand. They're just expected to trust a system that they can barely understand. Now, there was a farmer from Benue State who was dragged into court over a land dispute. He didn't have enough money to pay for a lawyer, so definitely he's a common man. He decided that, okay, I'm going to try and defend myself in court by myself. During the trial, guess what happened? The judge kept on throwing away his submissions because he wasn't following the proper procedure. Okay. At the end of the day, in the trial, he lost. Not because he was wrong, but he didn't speak the language of the law. And you're telling me that this is justice? I didn't know I had to learn the language of justice, my opposition. I ask you, how can the judiciary be the hope of the common man when the system is directly designed to shut him out? My opposition may say that's why we have lawyers, but here's the truth. Most Nigerians can't even afford a lawyer. Legal aid is weak, and justice should not depend on what is in my pocket or my wallet. Therefore, until the judiciary speaks the language of the people and lawyers are no longer a luxury, the Nigerian judiciary can never be referred to as the hope of the common man. Furthermore, the judiciary fails to enforce its own judgments effectively. One of the key features and functions of the judiciary today is to ensure its rulings are enforced. However, in Nigeria, even when you win a case, there is barely any victory because your judgment is basically ignored, so your victory is meaningless. For example, again, in the year 2015, a man won a trial against the police for wrongful detention. The court ordered, you should compensate this man with 10 million naira. That's not a small amount of money. Yet, the police never did anything about it. Also, there is a man named CHERRYFIELD, a political activist, which was wrongfully detained, and the court ordered for him to be released. He still stayed in detention for months. Can you see the problem? How can we still have hope in a system which is too weak and powerless to even enforce its own judgments? This makes the judicial system ineffective for ordinary Nigerians. In fact, the World Bank ranks Nigeria as 183rd out of 190 countries to enforce their court rulings. Did you hear that? Us Nigerians were ranked 183rd out of 190 countries. We're just better than 7 countries, and let's be real, I'm sure we're not. If the court can't ensure that decisions are followed, they fail to serve the common man. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the hope of the common man. It is slow, inaccessible, too complex, and powerless to even enforce their own rulings. I'll leave you with this quote by Mahatma Gandhi. Justice that law gives is punishment. In Nigeria today, the system punishes the vulnerable and protects the powerful who have money, not the common man that we're talking about today. When justice is delayed or ignored, it loses its meaning. The judiciary no longer serves the people, and for the common man, it has no hope at all. I believe that I have convinced you all wholeheartedly why this House believes that Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the hope of the common man. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, for that wonderful speech. We call upon the Speaker.
Let's be clear. This debate is not about perfection. It's about principle. And the principle is clear that when every other arm of government fails and falters, the judiciary, the last hope of the common man, is here to correct, to uphold, and to protect the innocent. Today I stand here not to argue, but to deliver a verdict. And that verdict is simple. The judiciary has not failed, rather it has endured. Honorable Mr. Chairman, moderators, panel of judges, esteemed audience, my name is Ayo Michael, and I'm here to conclude our stance on the motion that states that this House believes that the Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the last hope of the common man. Allow me to set the stage with these few fundamental points. The judiciary protects Nigeria's constitutional balance. It acts as the guardrails to Nigeria's democracy. Remember, it was the judiciary that blocked illegal third terms proposed by corrupt politicians, unconstitutional detentions, and overreaches by state governments. Remember, it was the judiciary when governors wanted to sack elected councils unlawfully. The court restored order. The Supreme Court ruling against the AGF and the AG in Lagos in 2013 reaffirmed that federal overreaches into state matters violates Nigeria's constitutional power. Panel of judges, I would like to ask, if Nigerian judiciary is failing, why are Nigerians, even the poor, still going back to courts when all other institutions ignore them? If Nigerian judiciary system were actually dead, Nigeria's constitution would have already been in a coma. But the law lives on. Why? Because the Nigerian judiciary breathes life into it. Justice is not a threat to democracy. Rather, it's a defender and transparency. Building on that, let's examine the next point. The judiciary is the engine of accountability, in the sense that it is the only arm of government that can hold others accountable. Who else tries lawmakers? Who else reviews executive orders? Only the judiciary. In Falana versus the federal government, the court ruled against the police abuse of power. We see civil servants, governors, and the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) having been stopped and redirected by court access and orders. Ladies and gentlemen, the EFCC depends on judicial review. Without this, their investigations are meaningless and their cases are worthless to us. Ladies and gentlemen, a nation that can call out the government is not a nation where the judiciary is failing. Rather, it is leading. As the first supporting speaker of the proposition once stated, they said that the judiciary does not help women, the minorities, and children. But let's take this into consideration. Courts have ruled against child protection and child custody. The VAPP Act, violation against persons prohibition, was endorsed by the judiciary on landmark convictions. I would like to say the Sharia court has been reviewed by appellate courts on gender biasness. The common man includes women, children, and minority, and the judiciary is the only place that offers them protection. If the nation was actually dead, the judiciary system has actually fallen. Why do powerful men still try to silence it, to influence it, and altogether try to avoid it? All this is alarming, but it's undeniable. In addition to what I've said so far, we can see that the judiciary is not only a voice for the silent, but a microphone for the mute. For the unlawfully detained woman, the woman whose market land was seized, the widow whose inheritance was seized from her relatives, the courtroom is not just a room, it's a microphone for the mute. Let's look at the cases where we have landmark cases between Gani Foweyini and versus Abacha. Ensure that fundamental human rights cannot be opposed or suspended, even in military regimes. Gani Foweyini fought against Abacha's government on fundamental human rights abuse, that even in military regimes, our rights cannot be violated. The Apostle 6 case led to state payouts and judicial acknowledgement of killings because the court refused to stay silent. Ladies and gentlemen, if the judiciary has actually failed, Where else do you see the child of a roadside trader suing the Nigerian government to court and winning? Where else do you see a man who was accused of stealing being locked up in court, being locked up in the police station for months without evidence? And here, the judge is walking, they're looking at the man and said, this is not law, this is injustice. Let's expose the fact that the second supporting speaker of the proposition once stated that legal aid, you have to pay for it. But let me remind you, referring to my first speaker, over 300,000 indigenous Nigerians receive legal aid from the Legal Aid Council. We see that their arguments ignores the vast work of legal aid and public interest litigation. The doors are open. The question is, are they funded enough to welcome everyone? And that's not failure, that's the system in construction. Ladies and gentlemen, what the proposition presents is mediocre and incompetent to what we have said. Now that we have exposed these layers, let's expose the truth. Let's make it clear to everyone known here that the judiciary has presented frustration, not facts. They have confused imperfection with failure. Everyone present here, we have shown that in Nigeria, the judiciary does not give up. Rather, it fights corruption. It opposes the youth rights. The judiciary, of course it is faltered. Of course it is faltered, yes. But it has also risen. The judiciary has shown us that it can still be the last hope for the common man. In a country looking for hope, this is not failure, this is courage. Let it be known to the House and every single Nigerian sitting down here that the Nigerian judiciary is here to stand still for the common man when all other institutions have failed. They are here to fight corruption, uphold the rights. They say that only the rich can access the courts. But no, that's not true. That's very, very, very not true. There are cases where we have seen that market women, widows, have gone to the Nigerian courts to fight for inheritance of their land. And it might take 10 to 15 years, but that doesn't mean the judiciary is slow. Rather, it's a systematic process getting to somewhere. We have shown you that the judiciary has introduced e-filing, virtual streaming of court cases. So the judiciary is not slow. Wherever you got that information from, it's wrong. Panel of judges, we do not support this motion. And neither should you. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, for allowing us to speech. That's your reply speech now. Yes.
In every side and in every debate, there are two things. There is the proposition and the opposition, and who decides actually, like, who wins the debate. Let me tell you, it is facts, logic, and how you deliver. The proposition stated that I am making noise. Yes, I am making noise. But do you know why you pinpointed that? Because you are scared that my noise is making sense to the audience and to the panel of judges. So let me tell you and continue. There are two sides of the coin, and that is the proposition and the opposition. And when this coin is flipped, what happens? Let me also pinpoint that in every debate there is a key topic, and there's something that the proposition has failed to understand before they came here today. In every key topic, there is a key word, a flip switch. There is an igniter. And let me tell you, in the first debate I went for, it was the word compulsory. In the next debate, it was the word free farmland. And in the other debate I went for, it was the word privatization. Let me tell you proposition. Let me just give you the answer. The key word in this debate is the word failed. If you listened to my first speaker, you would understand that failure means complete ineffectiveness. Complete failure, meaning it has already not worked before it started working, before it stopped. Now today, my beautiful audience, please listen to me, panel of judges. Has the judiciary failed completely? Now, let me ask again, has he failed completely? So now proposition, what do you have to say to that? Because now you have realized that there's a flaw in your plan. You fail to understand that the side that you stand for is the side that's completely against Nigeria. And we stand beside the pillars of the courts of the judiciary. So now, let me also tell you, you can come up here and you can pinpoint any singular point or specific case about people in the past that have failed. But let me tell you something that you don't know. God himself, Allah himself, said that no human being is perfect. Tell me, why should they be perfect? You are here to butcher us, butcher the opposition by saying that we have worked completely. Tell you something. If something has completely failed, why do Nigerians still go back? Why do we all still go back? It's something we must consider. If there is no hope, then why do we keep running to what gives the hopeless hope? Now, to conclude, the last reply speaker of this debate is about to come up here, and he has been watching us. He has been jotting down every single thing we have been saying. He is ready for me. Let me put it. Once he gets on this stage, he's going to continue talking and he's not going to stop. He's going to butcher me, but I'll take it. What's going to happen is that once he finishes giving out all his points as to why we are wrong and why Nigeria has failed and why nobody trusts the judiciary, nothing is going to be unshaken. We will still stand with the Nigerian judiciary because we know that Nigeria is not a hopeless company. He stated that he actually gave an alternative to what we should do, but let me tell you, you do not abandon your country, you fix it. You do not state alternatives as to, okay, let's corner. No, you must fix it. We must stand. And I will stand. They will stand. You will stand. The panel of judges will stand. And my noise will make noise to you. Thank you.
Okay, so before I begin, I would like to point out something that the reply speaker had actually said. She said that Nigeria has failed. But do you know that admitting it has failed also means that you're also saying that it needs reform? Meaning that you're also acknowledging that the Nigerian judiciary has failed as well. Let me give an illustration. The school uniform you're wearing is very nice. And if you believe it is very nice, does that mean you're willing to change it? It doesn't mean you're willing to change it. And you also said something about the fact that the judiciary has not failed the common man. Okay, so are you saying that the 88% of Nigerians that believe that the corruption in Nigeria is very high, are you saying that they are daft? Are you saying that they are stupid? Because that is indirectly what you're trying to point out. And you also saying, I'm pointing out to you, the third speaker. Yes, you. I'm pointing out to you. You also said something about the judiciary being a microphone for the mute. But did you also know that a mute person speaking to a microphone won't change anything at all? It will change nothing at all. As the reply speaker, I'm here to summarize what Beatrice and Derek have said, and I'm also here to reply to all of the opposition's false statements, because all I'm hearing so far is false and flawed arguments. You've not given anything so far, simply because you're stating that, okay, the judiciary has supported 350,000 people. How many people are there in Nigeria? There are over 200 million. So you're saying they have supported 350,000 people. It still doesn't change the fact that 71% of Nigerians believe that the judiciary is corrupt. You've still not made the point. I asked earlier, are you willing to say that the 88% of Nigerians that believe that the judiciary is corrupt, are you saying that they are daft? Because that's so far what you've been illustrating so far. As my fellow co-debaters, Beatrice and Derek, mentioned, that the judiciary actually, it does not allow accessibility so far. And I 100,000,000% agree with that, simply because of the fact that the Nigerian judiciary system has tried, or people have tried to go to the judiciary system. I would also like to counter what you said, either the third or the second speaker, about the fact that, okay, why are poor people still going to the judiciary system? They are going to it simply because they believe it is the last hope of the common man, but they don't know any better. They live in rural areas. The education there is not quality enough. And why is that? Why is that exactly? Has the judiciary system done the country any justice so far with the points I've mentioned? Have the audience? Nobody is answering. Okay. In summary, with these points I've mentioned, I believe I've convinced all of you here that the Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the hope of the common man, whether you have my response or not. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So we are going to take 10 to 15 minutes for deliberation. Sure, 10 to 15 minutes for deliberation. Then we'll give the results and justification. Thank you.
Thank you all for finding time today. I want to thank the Senator Ireta King Abai for finding time, even with the tight schedule she has. She still poured our love upon us and came here today to show us that she loves us. And I also want to thank the special guest of honor, the General Secretary of UNESCO, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Education, and also our esteemed guest for finding time to come here today, and also our viewers that are watching live. I want to thank you all for your journey that you've been through with us. I want to thank you for your time. And now I invite Mr. Chibu, our sponsor.
Distinguished Senator Iletikin, we are honored for you to be here. I'm not surprised. You are a mother that loves education. You've shown that over and over. I'm even surprised when you say you are coming. I'm even surprised. I was thinking that you are going to send a delegate to come. It shows that you are really a leader. And we, the Nigerian children, FCT children, FCT education stakeholders, continue to support your legislative policies to get FCT right to the track. My name is Joseph Mweke. I'm the executive director of BRITARCH Africa that is organizing this debate. BRITARCH Africa have been in the forefront of debate in Nigeria, and we're happy to bring this debate in FCT. For the past 1 week, we've been struggling to do this thing. I want to also appreciate before I also appreciate the Secretary General of UNESCO for finding wanting to be here. Thank you, sir, Mr. Kennedy, for being here. Presented by Mr. Victor, he just left now. I want to appreciate everybody that came here. I want to especially appreciate the director of BRITARCH School. Ma, I want to tell you that this woman is a woman that you need to establish a very serious contact with. She has over the time show passion for extracurricular activities. You know, when we wrote to her that we want to hold this debate here, it was not even a difficult thing for her to accept. So it's not about that she has a school, but her passion for education is these are the kind of people that I will encourage you to work with. You know, when it comes in terms of education, legislative policies in FCT, she's passionate. Her doggedness and her passion for FCT children is wonderful. I have to appreciate her. Thank you, Ma, for finding us what to do in your school. From the day one till now, we've enjoyed all your wonderful hosting. The things you have been doing is only God that will bless you. And actually, our school is also in the final, so I don't know if they lose now, she will beat me, but no problem. It's the competition. So, Ma, I want to welcome you. While the judges are announcing the result, I want to welcome you. We have a lot of viewers watching online, and they would like to hear a word from you. What points you coming here, you know, and have a word. Let us hear a few words from you that we can go with, and I'm sure we are eager to hear from you. Even if it's 2 minutes that we hear from you, it's going to be an honor to hear not just a senator, but a mother of all mothers in FCT. Thank you, ma. You have to be fast because immediately she's done with her speech, she will announce the result, she will hand over the trophy to the winners, and we call it a day. But she has a lot of things doing, and we have to make release her, please. Thank you, ma. May we welcome Senator with a clapping ovation. May we welcome District Senator LUGBE, the FCT Senator in the 10th Assembly of Nigeria Senate, to come and address the viewers watching live and also our esteemed students also here. Thank you, ma'am.
No, please sit down, please sit down. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, students, the debating team, both of you. First and foremost, I must tell you that, yes, it's true, I have a very tight schedule, but I have an extremely soft spot for children. So anything that involves children, for other things, I can send a representative. But when it involves young people like you, I always like to come myself. I have listened to your vibrant debates. Of course, I have my views, but we're going to keep that within me and let the judges decide. I like how you have both presented your debate, and as she said, it's still standing, but as they said, if you don't know the problem, how can you solve it? So it's up to the judges to decide which side supersedes. I am the one who's honored to be here. I like meeting my constituents because that's the only way I get to know firsthand what's happening on the streets. Sometimes when you're in a building where everybody tries to insulate you, don't really know the problems. It's only when you come that you get to see it. And I also ask, and I'm telling you students, if you have problems that you think I should look into, write to me. Don't call me, write to me. When I find the letter, I promise you I will respond and I will do something about it. Anyway, all I want to say, it's been a lovely way to spend an afternoon. I'm really pleased that there are schools that still do things that we did when I was a student. So the education system, as bad as it seems, is not really at ground level. There are many good schools still standing. CHERRYFIELD School and BRITARCH School, well done. So who's the winner? Okay, the director of the school? Okay, I would like to present an award to Mrs. Chichi Orioha, the director of the school, for a very good school and for all her patients. You still don't have a winner? Okay, no problem, I'll wait. Regardless of the outcome, you both presented your cases very well. Your arguments added to what we know, was all very convincing. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Are you to tell me? Am I to announce it? Are you to announce it? I don't know what you do. Okay. So you'd announce it. Yes, certainly.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So afterwards was a engaging deliberation with me and my panelists. We came to a conclusion that the winner of FCT Inter-Private School Debate 2025, John Rose, so you can keep the anticipation, John Rose. Okay, so sorry, what I'm going to do as well is after giving the results, I'll give the reason, right, why we came to the conclusion of why, so that the people that didn't win, we know that, okay, this is where we lost and this is where they won. So at the end of the day, after much deliberation, we had the team from BRITARCH schools at the winner of FCT Inter-Private School Debate 2025. Yeah. Okay, so here is the reasons why we had BRITARCH winning. So first off, there is a motion in this house believes that judiciary have failed, right? So the first burden on the both teams is to prove how the judiciary have failed entirely. Up needs to show that the judiciary, even if maybe there can be situations of issues, they've not failed. Prop needs to show how, even if they seem like maybe they still have places that do well, on an average of way up, they are failed entirely, right? So it's now based on that way up that we now try to check which team proves sufficiently that the judiciary have failed. So one of the strongest arguments that we get from opposition, right, that was so strong for us to use it to buy their case, was when they showed that in as much as judiciary have failed, the common man still goes back to it as his last resort. That was a strong case, right? But the reason why we didn't buy it so much to now win whatever we've gotten from proposition, it's when proposition shows you how, even if those justice exist, the timeline it takes to get those justice can be something that can be an issue. In most cases, it can take 21 years, etc., to get those particular justice, right? So it gets to a point where it now becomes justice of the highest bidder. Whether it's able to buy out the judges and the lawyers and all that. We got the argument from up when they say, well, things like legal aid exist where they've helped people, 350,000 persons, they've helped to get justices, right? But then on the average, if Nigeria that is made up of more than 200 million persons, and only 350,000 people are getting aid from this legal aid, most of the person that is still coming to this justice system is still believing that the justice system is failing. So on the average, they now prove how more persons, the common man and all that, even if they go there as their last resort, is because they don't have any other alternative. If the alternative exists, they're not going to go to court. So even if UP is saying they still go to court, now the mediations can even work in majority of instances, right? So if UP is saying common man is still going there, so if common man is still going there, it means it has not failed. Prop shows it, right, that the reason why common man is still going there is because there is no alternative. If you give them an alternative, then you are going to go to the justice system again. So it's because no alternative, that is why they are going there. So I'm trying to make it short, right? There was a lot of other arguments that came up, but because of this particular argument, Prop shows that the justice system in its entirety, even if it still have places where it's still being good, where up is saying, well, they can still hold politicians accountable, right? But then they're showing that even those politicians are still holding accountable, they can still, they don't enforce those justice, right? One thing is to pass a judgment. Another thing is to uphold that judgment and see that the person passing that judgment is suffering whatever punishment or justice you've passed on them. But then Prop shows you how, even if they engage politicians,
politicians still disobey some of those court orders. So it means that the justice system is only to punish the poor and not to punish the rich. So in those instances, it means that for the common man, the justice system has failed them. Thank you very much.
Give the supporting medals first. The runner of water. I'll assist you. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So let's become the owner of the medals. That's the charity school. It's not easy.
Yeah. I know you are disappointed, but you did very, very well.
best, number one and nothing less. Lead me to my destiny. I have waited patiently. I have vision, oh I believe. I know I can count on me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up. Here we go, it's getting close. Now it's just who wants it most. It's just life, that's how it is. 'Cause we have our strengths and weaknesses. Oh, I have vision, oh, can't you see? I'm on the move, make way for me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself back up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself back up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself back up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself up. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up.